Hello everyone, welcome to my video where we are going to paint this beautiful and elegant card which can be used for Christmas, birthdays, anything. Just need to change some flowers and you're good to go for any card. So let's begin by drawing a simple envelope shape. So basically a rectangle and on top a little triangle. Now for the center we are going to make a cross. And for the lower triangle, what we are going to do is make a line above that intersection point. So this is how you get that nice folded envelope look. So here you can see how easily we got the basic shape of the envelope ready for our painting. Now just a simple sketch of any flowers you want to add in or leaves. Here I am going to show you how you are going to add this leaves for the holly plant. It's this simple. So basically what you're supposed to do is make the center line, make two curves on the side and slowly extend those curves and join them at the end or point. And that's easy, it is. So here I am adding few of them. You might need to zoom in a little bit to see that. So now for coloring, I'm going to show a simple method of wet on wet technique where I'm taking clean water, applying it on the upper top part of the envelope and now picking up some color like the browns and a little yellow and adding it on the border. This is a fast forwarded video so you cannot maybe make out, but first once the first layer of the top part is dry, then only I will move to wetting the surface of the lower part of the envelope. So basically the process is the similar process for all the four parts of the envelope. First is taking a clean water, wetting the surface, and then with a little bit color on the brush tip, you're going to add it on the edges of the envelope or the borders where you want it to be darker. That's the same process, but the only thing you have to be very careful with is not to do this process with the sides which are next to each other. Basically use the opposite sides or wait for it to dry and then only move to the next part of the envelope. Now for the fruit, I am just going to show you how you can make any round object look more 3D and three-dimensional. The key point in doing that is always taking care of the highlights and the shadow areas. So highlights are the areas where the light is falling and shadow are the areas which are always going to be opposite to the highlight. The highlights and the shadows will give a three-dimensional look to your object, and here you can see that the direction of the highlight is a little curve, and you can see that for the shadow I'm just taking one shade darker and just applying it onto the opposite side, exactly opposite to where the highlight is placed. So basically the shadow color will be on the opposite side. Now we are going to do that for the rest of the fruit in the envelope. Okay, if you want to make this greeting card for other purpose, you can just add in few small flowers and few leaves and you can gift it to anybody for any other occasions too. Always keep in mind that if you have multiple fruits or multiple round objects, then all the highlights have to be in one direction because it's a light source. So light is coming from one source only. So here you can see that all the fruits have it on the left side. So that is one thing you have to be very careful with. Now for the leaves, we are just filling in a light yellowish green color as the base color. Use a fine tip brush for that, round fine tip brush. It's not necessary for you to have a very costly watercolor brush for this cards. For cards you can just use simple brushes, that's okay, but definitely use a thick paper, and watercolor paper is definitely preferable for that because the effects which you might get on the watercolor papers you might not get on other papers. So now here I am going to show you one very beautiful effect which you can get with watercolors is that when the color is still wet. So here you can see the leaf color is still wet. At that time I am taking a semi-pointed object. You can also take a back of the brush or back of the corner of your watercolor tube and just scratch the paint. Don't scratch the paper. So you don't want the paper to come out or peel out, but you just need to make a little mark with that pointy thing. And here you can see what happened. It started becoming dark and it is showing like veins. Very easily, very beautifully you can get this effect when the paint is still wet. And always try to use darker shades in the areas where you want this effect. so it will be more prominent and you will be able to see. So yeah, I just took a sati stick and just, it is not that pointed, so don't use a very pointed stick to scratch. And later on with a fine tip brush, just add on few strokes like this for the greenery. And your beautiful envelope card is almost ready. I hope you enjoy the tutorials. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. If you have any questions, please ask. And here you can see, just add on more foliage by more strokes using the fine brush, just adding in a little darker green areas in between the fruit. And just take a red paint and just give this exact moment, little watery paint, and it's almost done. Now after it dries, then you can write whatever you want to write and your card is ready. Please follow for more such tutorials and share it with your friends. Now for the final touch, we are just going to add few little stars. For this I'm just making a vertical line, then a horizontal line, and in between two cross. So that's it. You can use a gold paint for doing this, it would look very nice. A gold shimmery paint. And your card is ready. Look how beautiful and amazing work you have done. Hope you enjoyed.